how do you figure out how much you can afford? How do you prove that? Well, what a lender does is a lender looks at four basic areas of your financial situation. One is, what type of credit do you have? Is it good or bad? One is, how much debt are you going to be taking on with this house? What's the percentage of your income to your total debt payments? The third one is the house going to be an okay collateral for us? We're going to use that house as we're going to take it back if, people don't pay. And lastly, how's the quality of your credit? Are you on time with everything? Because all those things tell us a lot about you. So what we do is, number one, we look at credit and credit scores. And credit scores are the most misunderstood thing in the whole world. You've heard the term FICO, F-I-C-O. I don't know if you know this, but that stands for Fair Isaac Corporation. About 10 years ago, a company called Fair Isaac out of San Jose, California, came up with this cool idea to try to attach an A, B, C, D to your credit. And it was basically your capacity to make payments on time. It was a very private computer model. Very successful. Car dealers used it first. And then after car dealers, mortgage companies started to use it. Then it became big. And then two other credit bureaus jumped in and said, we'd like to have our own method of doing this. And so now when we run your credit report, we get 3 credit scores. We get one from TransUnion, we get one from Experian, and we get one from Equifax. Those are the 3 big credit clearinghouses in the United States. We get reports from all 3, and you get a separate FICO score for each one. We take, you ready for this, conservative bankers that we are, we take the lowest middle credit score as the one that's representative for you in terms of pricing, program availability, etc. So if a husband has 750, 720, and 710, middle credit score is 720, but the spouse has 720, 650, and 640, the score we use is 650. Okay? Kind of hurts you sometimes. So sometimes what we do, if we have a non-income earning spouse, and that person has credit that isn't as good as the income earning spouse, we will take the non-income earning spouse off the application, use the income earning spouse who has the better credit, but leave that other spouse on title, meaning they both still own the house. It's just that the spouse is not obligated to make the mortgage payment. So we look for all these things, to try to make it work. Okay, the next thing we want to know about is down payment. Number one, how much of a down payment are you making? It would stand to reason that the more money you put down, the more comfortable we feel, right? And conversely, the less you put down, the more we're going to look at what you're doing. And the more we want to see the ratios of income to debt that exist there, okay? Now that down payment can come from a gift, and all different things for different programs. But it also tells us what's your ability to save. If you have reserves after closing, lots of them, will allow for higher debt ratios because you've shown a good ability to save money. Okay, so it kind of makes sense. Not always, but it kind of makes sense. All right, income to debt ratio. We have 2 ways to look at your income once we've figured out what it is. One is to say, if I take your gross monthly income, let's use my example that I used before, $6,000 a month, let's say. What percentage of that is going to go towards housing expense? And housing expense to us means the mortgage payment, the home insurance, if you have a home insurance policy, homeowners association if it's a condo, property taxes, and mortgage insurance. We call it PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Pity. Sometimes it is. So we take that total, and we say, what percentage is that of your gross income? And we'd like to see about 30%, 33%, about a third of your gross income. But I've seen it go to 40. I'm just giving you guidelines now. The second ratio is a total debt ratio. Now we take all this stuff and we add in your car payments, your student loans, your revolving lines of credit, your credit cards, everything else. We add all that in and we say, what's the back end or debt ratio? That we like to see, depending upon the down payment, anywhere from 38% to 45%. But I've done FHA loans where it was 53. And it was approved because the person had a lot of money in the bank after closing. Okay? So it's a little flexible. There are some absolute bump stops there, though, somewhere. Lastly, we look at the property. Okay, let's say you're qualified to buy the house, money's coming from a proper source, income to debt ratios are great, but the property doesn't appraise for what you're buying it for. And you're buying it with a small down payment. We're going to say we can only loan, and this is the rule, we can only loan on the lower of the sales price or the appraised value. And what that means is if you're really lucky and you bought a $500,000 home and it appraises at 6, not happening a lot in this market, but if you did, then you're saying, well, hey, I've already got 100,000 equity, isn't that cool? Can I take that benefit, when I'm getting my loan? The answer is no, because we're going to take the lower of the appraised value or the purchase price. Now, flip it around, you buy that $500,000 home and appraises at $400,000. We're going to say, I'm sorry, we're going to lend against the $400,000. So if you still want to buy this house, you got to bring in more money or renegotiate the deal. One of the two.